Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell and become part of the notification gang and become part of the happiest family on YouTube. So yeah, as you can see from the title of the video, it's my personal experience with teenage pregnancy. So let us get right into the video. Pregnancy was really hard for me. Like, before I even say anything, it was really hard. Oh yeah, I'm not pregnant currently. This was something that happened in 2017. It was a really scary time in my life because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was so disappointed in what I had done, that it blinded the fact that I needed to be a good mom to this child. I needed to take responsibility. I needed to love this child with everything that I have, because I didn't terminate. So now what's the point of saying I'm going to keep this child if I'm not loving this child? And for me, that was the hardest thing for me to do. I couldn't love you guys, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I couldn't love my baby. Like, I tried with everything that I could do, but I just couldn't. And I think for me, the biggest problem was that I was focusing on what are people going to say. What do people think of me? I'm in matric, and because I fell pregnant in May in matric, but I found out in 2017 because I started showing signs. I had morning sickness, I was vomiting, I wasn't eating, meat started smelling like armpits and everything. I wasn't eating at all. And I think what frustrated me the most was how I was going to tell my mom that I'm pregnant, because I was raised in a Christian household, and with that being said, no sex before marriage, obviously. Pardon. So now, how do I tell my mom that I broke, or how do I tell my mom that I had sex? And not just that, how do I tell my mom that I have evidence now that I had sex? Because she didn't even know that I had been active. So it was like, what's gonna happen now? And I remember talking to my best friend, and I was telling her that I can't love this child. I'm trying everything, and I was crying every single day, you guys. And then what makes things worse is that everything that you do affects the baby. Your breathing, thinking, crying, smiling, everything affects that baby. So you can imagine a baby growing in someone who's frustrated all the time, and not just but the fact that I'm pregnant, but the fact that I have to focus on my academics, because now this is matric, and in matric, the choices that I make, the grades that I get, they will affect me for the rest of my life. And I had so many dreams. I decided on my dream career and everything. When I was in matric, I had everything figured out, or at least I thought I had everything figured out. And with me, I'm a perfectionist. I like things to go a certain way, and when things don't go that certain way, it's tickets for me. Like, I'm just gone. Like, my world shatters. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, my life is over. This child destroyed my life. And that was a very, very wrong narrative, because it's never the child's fault that they're conceived, but instead it is your responsibility to love that child, especially if you decide to keep that baby. And because I grew up in a Christian household, the first instinct for me was to keep the child. So I was struggling a lot, you guys, and I was like, it was a really emotional journey for me, because I'm young. I'm 17 at this point. My tummy's starting to show. My teachers don't know, some of my friends don't know. I only told a few friends. And now I'm thinking, what are people going to think of me? How are people going to look at me? And now I'm struggling to create a bond with this child, because I'm not focusing on the fact that I'm pregnant. I'm focusing on the narrative people on the outside are having. And so, but my mom, guys, she tried to make my pregnancy as smooth as possible. And in fact, when I told her that I'm pregnant, she didn't have the reaction that I thought she would have. Instead, she told me, you're keeping this child, obviously, because we're Christians. Or at least I was raised in a Christian household where it's like, the Bible says this, the Bible says that, whatnot. So now and she said, I must think of this pregnancy as something that happened as a lesson, but she's gonna help me learn that lesson, so I don't have to worry about what people are gonna say, because she's here for me and she's not mad at me. She understands that mistakes happen, but what's important now is that the child is here and the child should be loved. Even with that being said, guys, I was still considering giving up for adoption. There was a lot going on in my head, and I felt like I was being judged, and as a result my mom said she's not going to tell the rest of the family that I'm pregnant until I get my matric results, and then we can, because she knew that instead, no, she told me that, you know, no, you've been doing well at school already, but now think of this pregnancy as something that pushes you to do better, something that is, you know, something that, I don't know, like an energy bar or something like that, that it's important, that is giving me more reason to be better. And after I had that conversation with my mom, I sort of pushed myself academic. No, I'm lying, because my trial exams, you guys, I flunked those exams. I was still so angry. I was still it was really just a tough time, and all I said, and in front of people, I even hated people asking me if I'm pregnant. I hated talking about it. I hated people, you know, some of my friends would be excited and say, this will be a name, this will not be a name. They even named it Igiona at some point, and I was like, guys, I hate this so much, can we not talk about it? But I kind of understood where they were coming from, and they wanted to be there for me, and they were excited, you guys, but I just wasn't. And nothing about my pregnancy interested me, guys. I hated being pregnant so much. Instead of looking at my pregnancy as something that is a blessing, I looked at it as a mistake that I didn't have to carry for the rest of my life. So months went by, and in the first 3 months I started losing weight. So people obviously did not see, and I went to my matric ball in, was it September? Yeah, in September I went to my matric ball. So not a lot of people, that I was 4 months pregnant then, and not a lot of people noticed that I was pregnant. And then now comes the 5th month, my stomach is growing. What am I going to do? I'm about to write my final exams. I was 6 months, almost 7 months pregnant when I was writing my final exams, and I'd gained a lot of weight. So that was stressful as well, because I was thinking, how am I going to cover this pregnancy? Because I can't risk people saying, teachers noticing and saying I can't write my final exam. So it was really stressful, you guys, and I'm having this baby that I don't love, and it was so hard. And I'm looking back at it now, that it was such a wrong narrative. If you're going to decide to keep a baby, please make sure you're emotionally ready, and make sure you're mentally ready for that baby, because it takes a lot of strength. Like, it takes a lot of strength from you. You always, yeah, that too. You're always tired, and you know what, ne? So school is done, people now know that I'm pregnant and whatnot. So now I start having complications. I start having swollen feet, my back is starting to hurt because I'm literally an elephant. I'm tired all the time, and luckily that happened in December, so schools are closed at that point. So now in January, guys, this is what made me realize that I could have lost this baby just because I was being irresponsible and immature, and I was not taking responsibility for the fact that it is my fault that I'm pregnant. In January, I think on the 15th or something like that, I noticed some fluid on my underwear, and I didn't take note of it because I literally didn't care about the fact that I'm pregnant. It didn't matter to me. To me, I was just carrying this baby that I do not love. So it's like, wow. So then I see fluid and I think nothing of it. I'm frustrated. I'm like, when am I giving birth? I'm so over it and whatnot. So now it's so I go for registration at UWC now. The date is now the 22nd of January, and I'm like, before the period from the 15th, around about the 15th to the 22nd, I'm not feeling the baby moving. And I'm not saying anything. Like, I'm not saying anything. I'm like, ugh, it's normal. The baby's probably fat and tired, blah, 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 blah. And then I had a doctor's appointment on the 22nd, so I had to go register at UWC and then go back, rush to the doctor. But then, because the registration lines was so long, it took the whole day and I was tired. It took the whole day and I was tired, so I went to the doctor straight after, and I found my doctor had already left, my guy had already left. But then this was really a smart move, because when I got there and I found out my gynae had left, I told the secretary, I haven't felt the baby move in a long time. So now everybody's panicking, so they're calling another gynae, and he checks me out, and he's like really worried at this point. Like, he's stressing because he's not feeling the heartbeat. So it's like, you are in trouble. That's literally what he said to me. He said, you are in trouble. Your pressure is sky high. It's either you or the baby that's in trouble. And especially since the baby is not breathing, I can't feel the heartbeat. I am really concerned. So they admit me that day, and then they say, what did they say? Oh yeah, they check me out and they say they have to induce my pregnancy, because so that means I'll give birth a month earlier than I was supposed to give birth. So they're giving meds. It's not working. I'm not feeling any contractions. I'm not feeling any pain. Instead, everything's just vibes. So now the doctors are worried. They're thinking they're gonna have to cut me open, because I'm not showing signs of someone's gonna give birth anytime soon. And if you're pregnant before, there's this thing that they wrap around your stomach, and the heartbeat, with every second that was passing, the heartbeat was becoming slower and slower and slower. And so now everybody's worried. So now what's happening is that I'm 17 at this point. I can't sign for a cesarean, and my medical aid said they must only do the C-section when it's the only option that I have. And it was really the option that I had, but now I'm alone in the hospital, so they can't take me to theater, because my mom, who is an adult, has to sign off for the C-section, and my mom is stuck in traffic. So everyone is running around. It's a nightmare. I'm freaking out at this point. So to cut a long story short, my mom arrives, and we get to theater, and then it happens. They cut me open, they take the baby out. She's not breathing, and it was really such a tough time, because now it's getting real, because this baby's not breathing. So that means I gave birth to a stillborn, and now I'm like,